Once upon a time, in a lush green forest that shimmered with the glow of the morning sun, there lived a parrot named Kavi. His feathers glistened with shades of emerald and gold, and his eyes sparkled with intelligence that was rare even among his kind. The other birds often marveled at his ability to speak like humans, to reason with clarity, and to settle disputes among the creatures of the forest. He was known far and wide as the Wise Parrot. Kavi lived in a tall banyan tree that stood near a quiet pond. Every morning he watched the sunrise, listened to the rustling leaves, and greeted the day with gratitude. His wisdom was not something he had inherited, but something he had earned through observation, patience, and years of listening more than speaking. The animals of the forest came to him not just for advice, but for comfort, for he always spoke gently and never judged. One day a young monkey named Raju came to him, tears glistening in his eyes. He had quarreled with his best friend over a handful of mangoes. He took more than his share, Raju complained, his voice trembling with anger. "I found the tree first. He says it belongs to everyone, but I did the work of shaking it." Kavi tilted his head, studying the monkey's face. "Tell me, Raju," he said softly, "if the tree belongs to everyone, do its fruits not belong to everyone too?" Raju frowned, confused. "But I did the work." "Indeed," said Kavi, "and your friend benefited from your effort, just as you benefit from the shade of trees you did not plant, and the fruits of those who came before you." Raju lowered his gaze, ashamed. "Then I was wrong." Kavi smiled kindly. "Sometimes being right is less important than being kind. Go share the mangoes, and you will taste more sweetness than the fruit can ever offer." The monkey left quietly, and soon after, laughter returned to the forest. Word of Kavi's wisdom spread once again, and creatures from distant places began to visit him. But with fame came envy. A proud crow named Bura disliked how everyone revered the parrot. "What makes him so special?" Bura grumbled. "He talks fancy words, that's all. Let's see how wise he really is." So the crow decided to test him. One afternoon, Bura approached the banyan tree with a sly grin. "O Wise Parrot," he croaked, "I have heard much about your intelligence. I wonder, can you answer a question that even humans might fail to answer?" Kavi nodded politely. "Ask, my friend." Bura held a small butterfly in his claws, its wings trembling. "Tell me," he sneered, "is the butterfly in my claws alive or dead?" He planned to trick the parrot. If Kavi said the butterfly was alive, Bura would crush it and prove him wrong. If Kavi said it was dead, he would release it and make the parrot look foolish. Kavi looked calmly at the crow. His eyes softened as if he could already see through the trap. "My dear Bura," he said gently, "the answer lies in your hands." For a moment, Bura was silent. The forest, too, fell quiet. The crow felt the tiny creature flutter in his claws, felt the pulse of its life, and shame washed over him. Slowly, he opened his talons and let the butterfly go. It fluttered away into the sunlight, and Bura hung his head. "You truly are wise," he muttered before flying away. Time passed, and Kavi continued to guide the forest dwellers. But one season, a terrible drought struck. The river dried, the grass turned brittle, and the trees began to shed their leaves early. The animals grew restless, for hunger and thirst can turn even the kindest hearts hard. The lion who ruled the forest summoned a meeting. "We must find water," he roared, "or we will all perish. Who among us knows where it can be found?" The elephant trumpeted, "Let us dig near the riverbed." The fox suggested they move to another forest. The peacock proposed they pray to the rain gods. The debate turned into shouting, and panic filled the air. Then Kavi perched on a branch above, spoke calmly. "There is a well beyond the hill," he said. "It belongs to a farmer, and though it is deep, there may still be water there, but we must go together, and we must go humbly." The lion nodded, trusting Kavi's wisdom. The next morning, the animals followed the parrot across the dry lands. When they reached the farmer's field, they saw the well. But there was a problem. The farmer stood nearby, watching them with suspicion. "Stay back," he shouted, waving his stick. "This is my well. You animals drink, and you'll muddy the water. I'll have none of it." The lion growled softly, but Kavi fluttered down before him. "Let me speak," he whispered. Then he flew up to the farmer and said, "Good man, we do not come to steal, we come to live. The forest has fed you and sheltered your crops from winds, the bees that pollinate your flowers, rain that falls from clouds over our trees, all are gifts of the same earth. If you share your water, life will return, and so will your harvest." The farmer stared at the talking parrot in disbelief. His anger softened, replaced by thought. Finally, he nodded. "You speak truth, wise one. Come, but take only what you need." The animals drank gratefully, and soon clouds began to gather in the sky. The drought ended within days, and the farmer's field flourished again. From that day on, he placed bowls of water for the birds and fruits for the monkeys. He often said, "It was the parrot who taught me that kindness waters not only the soil, but the soul." But Kavi's trials were not over. One night, as the forest slept, a band of hunters entered. They carried nets and cages, whispering greedily about the talking parrot that could make them rich. When dawn broke, Kavi was gone. The animals awoke to find his tree empty and his voice missing from the morning breeze. The hunters had trapped him and taken him to the city, where they sold him to a wealthy merchant. The merchant placed Kavi in a golden cage and showed him off to guests. "He speaks like a sage," he would boast. "He will bring me honor and profit." But Kavi no longer spoke. He sat silently, gazing at the open sky beyond the window. Days turned into weeks. The merchant grew angry. "Speak, you foolish bird. Sing or talk as you used to." Kavi finally replied, "How can I sing of freedom when I no longer know it?" The merchant felt a pang in his heart, but ignored it. Yet every night he couldn't sleep. Kavi's quiet words echoed in his mind, "How can I sing of freedom?" The next morning he opened the cage and said softly, "Go back to your forest, wise one. You belong there." Kavi stepped out, spread his wings, and soared into the sky. He flew higher and higher until the city disappeared beneath him and the scent of his forest returned. When he reached the banyan tree, the animals gathered around in joy. The forest came alive again with laughter and song. From that day, Kavi rarely spoke of wisdom. Instead, he listened more, for he had learned that wisdom is not in words alone, but in silence too. The creatures noticed a new calm about him, a deeper peace than before. He no longer tried to solve every problem, but guided others to find their own answers. One evening, as the sun melted into gold across the horizon, Raju the monkey, now grown and thoughtful, sat beside Kavi. "You were right," he said. "Kindness makes everything sweeter." Kavi smiled. "And you learned it not because I told you, but because you lived it. Wisdom shared is wisdom multiplied." Years passed, and legends of the wise parrot spread beyond the forest, beyond the farmer's village, beyond even the city where he had once been caged. Some said he could live forever. Some said he was a spirit of the forest itself. Children were told bedtime stories about him, about the bird who taught even kings and men that the greatest freedom lies in compassion. And though the banyan tree grew old, its branches still swayed with the songs of countless birds. Travelers who passed by claimed they could hear a faint voice whispering through the leaves, calm, warm, and full of truth. The answer lies in your hands. The wise parrot had become not just a creature of feathers and flight, but a symbol of wisdom that listens, of kindness that endures, and of freedom that no cage can ever contain. And so, even long after Kavi was gone, his spirit lived on in the forest, in the laughter of monkeys, the chatter of birds, the rustle of leaves, and the whisper of the wind that carried his eternal message, that wisdom begins not in knowing, but in understanding, not in speaking, but in listening, not in taking, but in giving.